The Enigma of Human Origins. Imagine lying under a vast, starlit sky in the African savanna, millions of years ago, where the first sparks of what we call humanity flickered into existence. What if the very essence of who we are began not with a grand design, but with a series of quiet adaptations, whispers of evolution shaping bone and brain? This segment delves into the enigma of human origins, a concept that invites us to ponder our place in the cosmos, blending science and mystery to unravel the threads of our ancient beginnings. It's significant because it grounds the entire history of humanity in humility, reminding us that our story is one of survival against improbable odds, a tale that bends the mind with its vast timescales and evolutionary twists. At its core, the enigma of human origins revolves around the theory of evolution by natural selection, as proposed by Charles Darwin, but extended through modern paleoanthropology. Picture our earliest ancestors, like Australopithecus afarensis, embodied in the famous fossil Lucy, roaming the East African Rift Valley around 3 to 4 million years ago. These beings weren't fully human yet. They walked upright on two legs, freeing their hands for tools, but their brains were smaller, their lives a daily dance with predators and scarcity. Fast forward through the Homo genus. Homo habilis, the handyman, crafting crude stone tools about 2.5 million years ago. Homo erectus, mastering fire, and migrating out of Africa around 1.8 million years ago, spreading to Asia and Europe. Then comes Homo sapiens, emerging around 300,000 years ago in Africa, with a brain capable of abstract thought, art, and language. Analogies help here. Think of evolution not as a ladder climbing to perfection, but as a branching bush, where branches like Neanderthals and Denisovans intertwine with our own, leaving genetic echoes in modern humans. Historical context includes key discoveries, such as the Leakey family's work in Olduvai Gorge, or the recent finds in Morocco pushing back our timeline. This breakdown reveals a gradual, adaptive process, not a sudden leap, making the concept accessible yet profound. This enigma challenges the notion of human exceptionalism, posing mind-bending questions. If we share 98% of our DNA with chimpanzees, are we truly separate from the animal kingdom, or just a clever branch on the tree of life? The contradictions arise in cultural myths. Creation stories from various religions contrast with scientific evidence, creating existential tension. Implications extend to modern identity. Understanding our origins fosters empathy across cultures, as all humans trace back to a small African population that nearly went extinct around 70,000 years ago during the Toba supervolcano event. Yet, it raises paradoxes, like why intelligence evolved if it often leads to self-destruction through wars or environmental harm. These aspects bend conventional thinking, suggesting our history is not linear progress, but a fragile, interwoven web, inviting reflection on whether we're stewards or accidents of evolution. As we emerge from the shadows of our prehistoric past, equipped with tools and tales, we step into a transformative era where humanity bends nature to its will. This leads us seamlessly into the paradox of the agricultural revolution, how taming the wild not only fed us but reshaped our very souls. The paradox of the agricultural revolution. Why did our ancestors trade the freedom of foraging for the toil of tilling soil, only to find themselves bound by new chains of society and scarcity? This paradox lies at the heart of the agricultural revolution, a pivotal shift around 12,000 years ago that birthed civilizations, but also sowed seeds of inequality and environmental strain. Mind-bending, because what seemed like progress might have been humanity's greatest trap, relevant to our ongoing struggles with sustainability and social structures. The agricultural revolution, often called the Neolithic Revolution, marks the transition from hunter-gatherer lifestyles to settled farming communities. In simple terms, it began in the Fertile Crescent, modern-day Middle East, where wild grains like wheat and barley were domesticated alongside animals such as goats and sheep. Analogize it to a domino effect. Warmer post-Ice Age climates allowed experimentation with planting, leading to surplus food, which supported population growth, and permanent villages like Catalhoyuk in Turkey or Jericho. Historical context includes parallel developments in China rice, Mesoamerica maize, and the Andes potatoes. Tools evolved from stone sickles to plows, and societies formed hierarchies, shamans, chiefs, and eventually kings. This explanation maintains depth by noting genetic evidence from ancient DNA, showing how farming spread via migration and idea diffusion, making it relatable as the foundation of everything from bread on our tables to the cities we inhabit. The mind-bending contradiction here is that agriculture promised abundance, but delivered drudgery and disease. Hunter-gatherers worked fewer hours and had varied diets, while farmers faced malnutrition, pandemics from close animal proximity, and social stratification. It challenges conventional views of progress. Was this revolution a boon or a burden? Enabling art and science, but also wars over land? Existential questions emerge, like whether our drive to control nature dooms us to overpopulation and ecological collapse, as seen in collapsed civilizations like the Maya. These implications provoke philosophical inquiry into human nature. Are we innovators or eternal dissatisfiers? Fostering a reflective unease about our path. From the furrowed fields of early societies, empires rose like constellations in the night, weaving philosophies that still guide us. This evolution draws us into the theory of cultural convergence, where diverse ancient worlds strangely mirrored each other in their quests for meaning and power. The theory of cultural convergence in ancient empires, across vast oceans and deserts. Why did distant civilizations, from Egypt's pharaohs to China's emperors, echo similar structures of power, myth, and innovation, as if humanity's collective mind whispered the same secrets? This theory of cultural convergence explores how isolated societies develop parallel paths, significant for understanding our shared human blueprint, mind-bending in its implications for universality amid diversity, and central to tracing history's intricate patterns. Cultural convergence posits that similar environmental and social pressures lead to analogous developments, even without direct contact. Break it down. In Mesopotamia around 3500 BCE, Sumerians invented writing cuneiform for trade records, paralleling Egypt's hieroglyphs for royal decrees. Analogies abound. Think of pyramids in Egypt and ziggurats in Babylon as monumental expressions of divine kingship, or the philosophical blooms. Confucianism in China emphasizing harmony, akin to Greek Stoicism's focus on virtue. Historical context spans the axial age 800–200 BCE, where thinkers like Buddha, Socrates, and Lao Tzu simultaneously questioned existence. Rome's engineering feats, like aqueducts, mirrored Persian roads, all driven by the need to manage growing populations. This accessible breakdown uses examples like the independent invention of bronze metallurgy, highlighting intellectual rigor through archaeological evidence, while keeping it relatable to modern globalism. The contradictions here twist the mind. If convergence suggests innate human tendencies, does it undermine cultural uniqueness or reveal a deeper unity? It challenges ethnocentric views, raising existential queries. Are religions and ethics products of convergence, making them relative rather than absolute? Implications include modern globalization as an accelerated version, potentially leading to cultural homogenization or innovative fusions, but also conflicts when convergences clash, like in colonial eras. This probes conventional thinking, suggesting history isn't random but patterned, inviting mystery about whether we're puppets of evolutionary scripts. As empires crumbled and ideas persisted, a shadowy interlude reshaped the world, blending faith and reason in unexpected ways. This bridges us to the paradox of the Enlightenment emerging from medieval darkness, where obscurity birthed light. The paradox of enlightenment from medieval shadows. How did an era shrouded in feudalism, plagues, and inquisitions paradoxically nurture the seeds of reason, science, and individual rights that define modernity? This paradox of the Enlightenment arising from medieval shadows is mind-bending, as it flips our view of the Dark Ages into a crucible of transformation, relevant for appreciating history's non-linear twists and our current age of information. The medieval period, roughly 500 to 1500 CE, transitioned into the Renaissance, and Enlightenment 1400 to 1800 CE, where apparent stagnation hid profound evolutions. Simply put, monastic scholars preserved Greek texts, leading to universities in Bologna and Oxford. Analogize it to a cocoon. The Black Death 1347 decimated Europe, but spurred labor reforms and questioning of divine order. Historical context includes the Crusades fostering East-West exchanges, introducing Arabic numerals, and alchemy precursors to chemistry. Figures like Thomas Aquinas blended faith with Aristotle's logic, paving for Copernicus's heliocentrism and Locke's social contract theory. This depth comes from examples like Gutenberg's printing press 1450, democratizing knowledge, making the concept understandable as a bridge from superstition to empiricism. Mind-bending aspects include the contradiction that religious fervor enabled secular inquiry. Monasteries birthed science, yet Inquisition suppressed it. It challenges the myth of constant progress, raising questions. Does enlightenment require darkness, as in personal growth through hardship? Implications touch existentialism. Voltaire's critique of optimism post-Lisbon earthquake mirrors our climate anxieties, suggesting history's paradoxes warn against hubris. This fosters philosophical inquiry into whether we're truly enlightened or cycling through shadows anew. From the flickering candles of enlightenment, we accelerate into an era where machines and minds entwine, pondering our trajectory. This naturally flows into the theory of technological singularity, where humanity's history culminates in a potential transcendence or oblivion. The theory of technological singularity. What if the arc of human history bends toward a point where our creations surpass us, blurring the line between maker and made? The theory of technological singularity envisions an exponential acceleration of innovation leading to unforeseeable change, mind-bending in its futuristic gaze, yet rooted in our past, significant for contemplating humanity's endpoint and the ethical voids it exposes. Coined by Werner Vinge and popularized by Ray Kurzweil, the singularity predicts that around 2045, AI and biotechnology will advance so rapidly that progress becomes incomprehensible. In accessible terms, it's like Moore's law, computing power doubling every 2 years, applied broadly, from the Industrial Revolution's steam engines to today's quantum computing. Analogies include the internet as a neural network mirroring human brains. Historical context traces from 19th century mechanization through 20th century wars accelerating tech-e.g., atomic bombs, computers, to now with CRISPR gene editing and neural networks. This breakdown uses examples like AlphaGo defeating humans, maintaining rigor by noting debates over timelines while relating it to everyday smartphones as harbingers. The contradictions are profound. Singularity promises immortality via mind uploads, but risks unemployment or AI rebellion, challenging anthropocentric views. It raises existential riddles. Will we merge with machines, losing individuality, or control them? Implications include ethical dilemmas like inequality in access to enhancements, bending conventional thinking toward transhumanism. This invites mystery. Is history a prelude to godhood or extinction, echoing ancient myths in silicon form?